excited to have y'all here at WeWork for the Cisco Start Challenge. My name's Grace and I'm the Community Manager at WeWork Piermont. Just wanted to quickly introduce myself and give y'all a little bit of framework about WeWork along with where the bathrooms are and all that kind of stuff, housekeeping rules. So to tell you about WeWork, so we are a collaborative workspace with 250 locations globally. We have 3 here in Sydney with a 4th opening next month, which is exciting, and a couple locations in Melbourne, along with Brisbane coming online as well. So we offer everything from the space to the community and then all of the amenities and utilities that you have in a traditional office space. So if y'all have any questions about WeWork, feel free to reach out to me after the pitch night, and we're happy to answer any questions. Also, as you've already seen, there are drinks and food to be had, so help yourself. And lastly, the bathrooms are back through the light tunnel, and then to the men's bathroom, just take a right, and women's take a left, and enjoy the night. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. I was just trying to see if my voice will carry. Anyway, use my microphone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the grand finals of Cisco Start Challenge. Before we proceed with the proceedings for the evening, I would like to acknowledge the original custodians of the land upon which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respect to elders past and present. For those who don't know me, my name is Naikej, and I run the SMB business for Cisco in Australia and New Zealand. SMB meaning small and medium business segment for Cisco in Australia and New Zealand. And I have the absolute privilege and pleasure of being your host and MC for this afternoon. Folks, we all know digitization is the #1 agenda amongst small and medium businesses today in Australia. It is topical, it is digitization that's going to drive our economy forward. And Cisco is invested and is investing heavily to help small and medium businesses digitize so that they have a competitive advantage in what is truly a global business environment. Where are we investing this money and why are we doing it? Small businesses, as we all know, is the heart and soul of this economy. If small businesses thrive, the economy thrives, and we have a vibrant Australia. So where are we investing? We're investing in 2 main areas. #1, in technology itself, in our portfolio. So we've designed a purpose-built portfolio for small and medium businesses called Cisco Start that helps small and medium businesses adopt and acquire enterprise-like technology at affordable cost. What it means to them is they are now at the same level footing as large enterprises, and they can digitize and stay competitive in a global business environment. The technology is flexible and the platform is flexible so that it grows as the small business grows. And we also have flexible consumption models where they can pay as they grow. We all know SMBs have cash flow constraints, they have other things to address. So we've designed the portfolio to grow as they grow, as well as give them financing flexibility so that they pay as they grow. The second area where we have invested heavily is in our partner ecosystem. Many of you are here today. So over the last 18 months, since the launch of Cisco Start as a portfolio, we have trained and enabled in excess of 1,000 partners, so that those partners can be your trusted advisor as you start digitizing your business. So in portfolio and partners is where most of our investment has gone in. Now, we all wonder, why are we doing this? Why is Cisco launching this challenge and trying to embark digitization as a message amongst SMBs? About 3 months ago, we thought, listen, small businesses, a successful small business is all about hard work and dedication. I ran a small business when I was in university many moons ago. And I know it was a lot of blood, sweat and tears, writing cash books, making sure everyone's getting paid, and at the end of the day, you come back very satisfied, thinking, hey, we have achieved something. There's a sense of purpose. But for us to scale, for us to really scale, and I realized that from my own personal experience, I couldn't scale and compete. It was a logistics business with some of the larger players because they had technology advantage that my business didn't. So the thinking was, if we can award a digital transformation to a small business that is successful, we can help them scale. So 3 months ago, we put out this challenge and we said, a successful small business that needs to scale will award a digital transformation worth $40,000. And the response, folks, was overwhelming. We had over 62 respondents, high quality respondents, and here we are. We have the best of the best, creme de la creme, the top 5 pitching for this reward. I would like to take a moment to thank all our judges for making time. Time is precious, and making sure we have a well-deserved winner at the end of the day. By the way, everyone's a winner. Without further ado, let's get this competition going. To kickstart the event, let's get Advisr. First up, you have 5 minutes to pitch. And 5 minutes for Q&A.
Thank you. Let's do it this way, hey? Old school. We all know in business that you only do business with people you trust. We all know that, don't we? We feel it. James Shipton, the ASIC chairman, has said that there's a massive trust deficit, particularly in financial services. Now, if we were to walk outside right now and ask 100 Aussies, do they trust insurance brokers? Do you know what the answer would be? Only 10. What? 10% of people trust insurance brokers. That's a massive problem, isn't it, for insurance brokers? And we all kind of understand why. There's some conflicts there. And so what do you do when you have a massive problem like this? Well, trust needs to be restored. And so that's what we're doing. My name's Andy Jennison. I'm the CEO and founder of Advisr. We're a platform that connects the small and medium-sized businesses, the engine room of Australia, with brokers that they can trust. And we do that in a couple of different ways, but I'll walk you through our platform. You can see on our platform we highlight both the individual and the brokerage. And we do that for a couple of reasons. Because we know that the name on the door is really important, but it's the person that you deal with that can make or break something, can't it? And so trust is being enhanced through this. In addition to that, we cover all the different insurance lines because we know that finding that expert can make the difference in your business. And so we're connecting those small to medium-sized businesses across Australia with the experts that they're looking for, and we're making that easier to do. In addition to that, we have a Q&A section where customers are asking questions, getting feedback from experts, because we know education is a key vehicle for rebuilding trust. Alongside our Q&A section, we also highlight world-class content provided by brokers. Again, experts in their area highlighting and sharing expert opinions so that small and medium-sized business owners can read and get educated and then connect. And it's starting to happen. Let's jump in and have a look at what one of our listings looks like. This is for a guy named Brett. He's an authorised representative. You can see on his profile here that we highlight all the information that someone would need to connect with him. We highlight the categories that he's in, the content that he shared, the contact form so you can reach out, and customer reviews. And what we're noticing on our platform is that brokers with reviews get 25 times the number of customer views than brokers without. Now, why is that? It's because it's about trust. Small and medium-sized businesses are looking for brokers that they can trust, and they're finding them on Advisr. So why now? Well, insurance is a pretty big market. It's an $82 billion market in Australia, and the intermediated space, that's the part sold by brokers, is $16 billion. It's a big market. There's lots of businesses, there's lots of brokers, there's lots of small businesses looking to help. We also know that this business model, it's not unique. There are other people doing it in other sectors. It's quite simple, really. We're just trying to connect people in ways to help them to find someone that they can trust. We see it with Open Agent, connecting people to real estate agents, HighPages doing it for tradies, and Hashchain doing it for mortgage brokers. It's happening in lots of industries, and we're doing it in the general insurance space. We've got a world-class team that's helping to execute against this problem. We've got expertise in insurance, we've got the regulatory part covered, and we've got tech and product covered as well. In addition to the team, myself as a proven kind of business builder and owner with 20 years digital marketing experience, we're well equipped to capitalise on this opportunity. But enough about me and the team. Let's look at what's actually happening. Well, we all know that new business is good business, isn't it? These are just some of the places around Australia where we've generated new business for insurance brokers from small to medium-sized business owners who are looking for that broker that they can trust. And we're doing it right now. And so what are brokers saying about our platform? Well, let's take Greg. Greg's an insurance broker here in Sydney. He knows that his reputation online is critical if he's going to win and continuing to grow his business into the future. And he sees Advisr as the platform to do that. Let's jump back to Brett, our friend from Melbourne. Brett's an authorised representative, and he knows to fuel the growth of his business, one of the key ways to do that will be on our platform. And so he's doing that by contributing and being part of the community. So if you're in business and you have a business, then make sure that you protect that asset with adequate insurance. We know that 2/3 of small business owners are underinsured, and that's a big problem. And so why don't you find that insurance broker that you can trust through Advisr? Thanks.
Questions?
What would Cisco add to your business?
Well, as a small business, for us having enterprise-grade technology that would help a small startup to really scale and know that our security and IT is secure would be pretty important.
So data security is your number one issue
Oh, it's
going
one of
forward?
them. It's one of them. It's part of our infrastructure package. So we'll be working with our CTO to understand what parts we need and which parts we can utilise. But there's certainly, I think every business needs that, and a digital business certainly needs great enterprise technology.
Have you had any bad ratings? And if so, what's sort of been the fallout from that?
Yeah, we have had a few that have come through. We think it's appropriate to put up ratings that are truthful and honest, and so we've got a good internal process to work through to make sure that these are real, because that's important. We also have a kind of filtering or a capture mechanism on the way through, so nothing goes live without us actually checking it on the way through.
Hey man, you're competing in some of the most expensive markets, internet. How do you propose to get customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd go to the digital marketing kind of skills and expertise. So we're great at SEO, and we're great at being really focused around our content. And so we're playing in those two areas to start with. We're seeing great success around that and being very focused and fragmented in our approach. And that's working. But you're right, it's expensive. And that's where I think we can actually help when we're helping brokers. Because what we're seeing at the moment is brokers are out there trying to compete. And they're coming into the market with inadequate budgets to compete effectively. And so we're kind of the platform that will intercede and help them on that.
Looks like there's a lot happening within the environment. What's the plan for expansion or additional markets to go to?
It's a good question. We're getting asked that a lot by people overseas, saying, when are you coming here and can you help us? That feels like it's a little bit down the track. The Australian market's big, it's a $16 billion market. We can get it right here to start with. That'll be a sizable business, and then we can build from there. So there's geography where we can expand, and there's also kind of product opportunities as well.
Are you the only one in the market at the moment? You were saying other platforms. How do you compare yourself, say, to Advisr ratings?
Yeah, good question. I thought that one might come from you. We compete, or we compare because we're different. So Advisr ratings, as best I understand it, focus on financial planners. Yep. That's a big market and sector. General insurance and the general insurance broker market is big as well. And there's overlapping interests, but they're discrete at the same time.
So with all the insurtech coming out, sort of people going direct to product providers,
Yeah.
how do you protect yourself from that trend?
You know, it's really, it's an interesting question, and I was thinking about it, because as a tech kind of person, you think, where are brokers going to play in this space? On the Sydney Startups Facebook page, just the other week, there were startups saying, what insurance do I need? Who should I talk to? How does this work? I was blown away by the number of small and medium businesses that were like, you got to talk to John here at this person.
Yeah.
There was a whole heap response from tech-savvy companies. So if they're still turning to brokers, then I think about the kind of middle of the market, they're still going to be using brokers for a long time. And so we see ourselves as enabling that rather than disrupting it or challenging it.
I think the government's got like some hectic stuff going on with changes to the rules in broker commissions as well. How does your monetization work?
Yeah, it's, we've got a couple of ways that we can monetize the platform. One is we pay for premium exposure, so brokers that want to be featured on prominent areas will pay for increased exposure. That's a flat recurring fee. So we can do that as a standard advertising relationship. Brokers are talking to us and we're exploring sharing revenue that we generate. So when we generate revenue for them, they would share that with us. Now that comes down to the model at which they're charging their clients and how we would monetize. So we have that. We have a couple of other monetization strategies that we're thinking through.
So give us an idea of the size of the business, number of people, cash flow, you earning revenues?
Yeah, we're really focused at the moment on building the platform, so it's a platform business. So we're less interested in revenue and more interested in chasing kind of activity and growth around that. And so we're getting our model right. We've been working on this platform for about 6 months, and so it's very early. This team is small and lean. So we've got a CTO and we've got a dev team that's overseas, CTO's locally here, and myself, and we scale up as we need to.
Last question.
So just on the people in the team, so are they actually working at those organisations and this is sort of extra, or are they just dedicated to this, to Advisr?
The team that I showed you?
Yeah.
So that's our advisory panel that we've brought together. They help us out. And so they help to open a lot of doors. And so we can open lots of doors into anywhere. Now some of them are deploying their skills onto the business as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
I heard quite a bit. I heard trust and brokers. I heard brokers and trust, especially insurance brokers and trust. But it's great to see technology bridging trust deficit, isn't it? Who would have thought? Whilst the next finalists set themselves up, I thought it's a great opportunity to introduce our judging panel. We have a really good judging panel. So I wouldn't mind starting with you, David. Thank you.
Sure. Well, who I am?
I should have said that.
All right. I'm basically a professional bullshitter. I work in the media. I own a little publication called Startup Daily. It is part of my family business. TV is a hobby that's got out of control. I was asked to fill in on this breakfast program for 3 months. That was almost 16 years ago, and it's kept going and going. But I've always had my own family business, which is in small business and personal finance content. We have our own owned assets, such as the Business Builders asset, which is for basically businesses 5 to 20 employees, which has a TV show attached to it. We own Startup Daily, which is the daily Bible for the startup community. Startup Muster rated it as the #1 source of information within the startup industry. I love it. We own Flying Solo, which is for solo, mainly home-based entrepreneurs. Big platform, 170,000 participants, really active forum. Airport Economist, which is an export TV show and platform for Australian small business, showing them how to export to different countries. The TV show looks at a different country every episode. We're up to 13 episodes of that at the moment. and I just love this space. I've invested in 5 fintechs, tripled my money on one, you're guilty, lost everything on 2, and the other 2 are basically blind ball at the moment. So overall, I'm about square. Why did I invest in them? Because I wanted to learn. Wanted to learn about the new wave of business. So while I'm lying ball on the investments, from a professional development point of view, I am streets ahead. It's just changed the way I think. So again, I love this space. So the family business is Pinstripe Media, so we can help you.
Hi everyone, my name's Corey Chalker-Muller, and I work for Cisco. I head up communications and public relations for Cisco in Australia and New Zealand. And I'm a long timer at Cisco. I've been with the company for 14 years, and yeah, pretty long time. Not always in Australia. I lived in London for 11 years and was with them in for that period of time as well. Working right across Europe and the UK, always in communications. So I'm really passionate about communication and storytelling, which is what I hope to bring to the judging panel this evening. So really excited about what we've got coming ahead. So thank you.
Thanks, Corey. My name is Raymond Janssen van Rensburg, and from the accent you can probably pick up that I'm not local. Relocated to Australia about 10 years ago. Like Corey, also work for Cisco. I lead the system engineering organisation within Australia and New Zealand, and from that you can probably pick up that part of my passion is technology, staying across it, but also looking at how we can use technology to enable your business and how we can solve customer business problems through that. Great opportunity to be here, and thank you for all the participants and also everyone else that's out there.
Hey guys, what's up? My name's Fred Chibester. I'm the founder, or one of the co-founders of Finder.com.au, sunfinder.com.au. I did have a hand in making that jingle stick just as well as it does. We're now expanded to about 10 countries around the world. We have offices in London, New York, Poland, and Manila, and Sydney's our biggest office. We just founded a new company called Hivex, which does it's a cryptocurrency exchange, and we help businesses accept cryptocurrency for payments. So if you need to basically get paid in crypto, we can help you out with that. And it's yeah, I think it's the new economy. Blockchain and cryptocurrency is going to really change the world. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you, judges. Next up, we have Jar Aerospace. It's a fantastic tech startup in a very hot industry right now, the space industry.
Jar Aerospace has a vision to ignite the aerospace industry within Australia and redefine our position on a global scale. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samuel Lewinson. I'm the Chief Operations Officer and a co-founder of Jar Aerospace. And we're an 18-month-old company with a young, passionate and innovative executive team. And we're applying our trade in the UAS space, or unmanned aerial systems. Jar Aerospace aims to be a leading supplier of high-performance systems. This means that we'll deliver commercially viable, customized solutions for land, sea, air, and space. Our capability is built from innovative design, collaboration with world-leading technology developers. We aim to be within space within 5 years. We've developed an innovative and systematic approach to collaboration encompassing rapid knowledge transfer and a commitment to building effective, mutually beneficial relationships with our partners, both in Australia and overseas. As an emerging and disruptive prime systems integrator, we provide solutions rather than products, specialising in the training, design, manufacturing and sustainment of high-performance systems. Internally, we apply smart design methodologies combined with innovative integration of world-leading components and technologies to develop customised solutions which deliver intelligent performance for our customers. Digital technology is a key enabling tool, providing a secure platform for JAR to connect to our customers and partners. Rapidly developing technology with the potential to disrupt key industries across Australia is primed to transform the way we live and do business today. The implementation of innovations such as 5G and the Internet of Things The implementation of innovations such as 5G and the Internet of Things pave the way for a digital age characterised by autonomy, choice, customisation and responsiveness. This will allow those companies that are forward-looking, innovative to build greater agility and reliability, delivering customer satisfaction. This aligns directly with JAR's core values. This presents an excitingly unique opportunity for Australia as we. This presents an excitingly unique opportunity for Australia to focus its efforts in becoming a leading global supplier of technology over the next decade as we reinvent a foundational industry of this country, manufacturing. JAR intends to be a key player through this revolution. Our current prime major project is in the defence sector, and it will remain to be part of our contribution to the Commonwealth in the future. Recently, there has been a significant shift in both government and defence policy, with the release of the first fully costed white paper by Ministers Payne and Pyne at the end of 2016. This report details key objectives of the ADF over the next 2 decades, including planned procurements and investments in the development of strategic sovereign capabilities to ensure our national security despite growing uncertainty on a global front. JAR Aerospace will be a key player in the transition and is already a part of Team Defence Australia. As part of this team, we've already represented Australian industry at major international events, namely Defence Services Asia and Eurosatori. We will be doing so again in Australia over the next few months in September at Land Forces. The depth of our commitment to and our pursuit of innovation in the technology are illustrated by a key subsidiary of JAR Aerospace, JAR Education. JAR Education was created to drive the development of an exciting and innovative educational system supported by industry and educational institutions alike. Our program seeks to broaden Australia's talent base, educate young minds in STEM thinking and practices, and inspire technological development into the future. We use unmanned aerial systems, or UAS, as the core elements of our program. JAR Education gains and sustains students' enthusiasm and through the synthesis of a project-based learning in a fun and engaging environment. By connecting students with tertiary education and industry leaders, we aim to give the young technologists and entrepreneurs of tomorrow a look into the future possibilities and prepare them with the skills necessary to take on an ever-evolving workplace. JAR Education programs are already being delivered in Australian schools. We are working in Australia now with local partners, developing capabilities and partnerships with global players, which will allow us to enhance their capability and to deliver on defence system projects in the near future. Winning this prize will allow JAR Aerospace to accelerate the upgrading of information security and data management collaboration tools to deliver a more safe, real-time platform for use by our people and our partners alike. This will provide a crucial step in us achieving and fulfilling our vision. Thank you.
Give us an example of a customer and what you do.
The Australian
customer.
Force.
Yeah, but what?
So we just completed phase 1 of a defence contract, which was a special notice through the Defence Innovation Hub, and we were contracted to essentially spend 6 months doing the concept exploration of a new SUAS, or small unmanned aerial system, for use by frontline soldiers.
Okay, so drones.
It's a
Going up.
Essentially what it is, it's a 1 meter wingspan, hand deployed, currently what they've got is a hand deployed drone that requires the soldier to break cover whilst they're in a conflict situation to get situational awareness from the drone. And so the major issue being that it's hand launched and they throw it whilst they're getting shot at. So we've developed a solution that's tail sitting and VTOL, or vertical takeoff and landing. And so our drone essentially sits on its tails and then it'll take off and then transition into forward flight before transmitting data back to the commander on the battlefield.
Okay.
So just, I guess, expanding on that, what other industries do you see the potential for growth with this type of drone?
Well, UAS can be used anywhere. Aerospace, the way we like to think about drones are they're more of a vehicle for transporting sensors or payloads to a better position. So for us, it's all about drilling down with our specific customers. We tend to work on the higher end of the technology scale, so higher cost vehicles, and so we work integrating a suite of sensors specific to the customer's requirement that will then produce an output that will gather efficiency in either their business process. So for one example, what we were working on commercially was medical transport. So we're working with a customer down in Melbourne to develop a platform that would be certified by CASA, our Civil Aviation Safety Authority, to fly over urban areas. So flying over Melbourne in broad daylight with a drone carrying blood from a hospital to a pathology service centre, which then produced over a 25% efficiency gain just due to traffic and being able to fly directly to where you want to go.
Great, Samuel. Another question, you mentioned space in 5 years. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you'd like to achieve in that area?
Yeah, so we conducted a very stringent review of the Defence White Paper and their integrated investment program and the following strategies that they've released, and essentially we've outlined ourselves a 5-year plan that takes steps moving through specific critical and I suppose major projects outlined by the Defence Force over the next 25 years that we think we'll be able to develop specific strategic capabilities that are outlined for development under Australia's sovereign capabilities that will enable us to then deliver on the next contract. So essentially the way we're doing it is we're moving through drones. Then we'll be working on unmanned systems generally, so that might include unmanned submarines and such, and then we'd be looking to go to missiles and larger propulsion systems and developing those sorts of systems before moving into CubeSats and your smaller space vehicles.
Man, it sounds like Star Trek. Straight chat, like, is this actually going to happen? Like with due respect, I get it, like it's super futuristic and stuff, but like drones right now kind of suck, and you can shoot them down pretty easy because they're slow and stuff. Like, is it for real? Like, is it going to happen?
Absolutely. Well, drones, it's all what you pay for. Like, you get you get out what you put in. So if you start using the cheaper end of the components, then yeah, they're rather easy to pull out of the sky, or they won't have very impressive characteristics. Whereas in the defence space, we've been working with some truly remarkable partners across the world, bringing together components such as like world-leading batteries to produce systems that have unparalleled characteristics and really provide unique capabilities to the warfighter, generating we see them as providing a greater deal of safety to the warfighter, and then providing enhanced capabilities such as target tracking and munition, and those sort of capabilities back into the battle management system provide the next step of which is along the lines of thinking that Defence have released in their strategic papers.
Yeah, so like my other question is, Australia tends to suck a bit at military relative to the rest of the world. Like, yeah, I think we suck relatively. Like, what is the appetite for innovation and investment in Australia? Because we don't tend to go and, I don't know, like what the appetite is. Like, how much is this contract worth, for example?
So the contract we're currently working on, if we're successful and go through to procurement through CASG, it's estimated, well, the previous contract was worth 110 million, which is in 2011. So with inflation, you'd expect around 120 to 130 million if we're successful. But moving, that's right at the bottom end of drones in defence, and from there, that's for 70 systems to the Australian Army. To give you an idea, the Aero Environment Wasp, that's the product we're looking at replacing in the Army. They currently have a world market share of 92.5%, and they sold 70 systems to the Australian Defence Force for 110 million, and they produced over 3,000 systems to the US market, and these are at an average price of around $650,000 per unit.
So that's cool. Now, sorry for taking all the questions, guys. I just want to understand something. Like, you talked about rockets, drones, space. Like, that's a lot of different technologies, and I come from obviously a technology background, and mastering all those things is pretty out of control. How are you planning on funding the mastery? You'd have to have a 1,000-person engineering team and some rocket scientists to bed to make that happen, right? So how are you planning, how are you funded right now, and how are you planning on continuing to fund the company?
So private equity was initially how we funded the company. So we initially started the company at the start of 2017. The 4 founders all invested our own money to kick it off and start building a prototype commercial platform that we saw a gap in the market for. We then pushed on, we found out about this defence contract, and then we started essentially setting to write a submission for that. We really saw, we then did further research, started to see really what the major opportunity is if we went down that path. So what we decided to do was when we decided to go and look for more private equity. We ended up raising $1.2 million in June last year, which got us off to a great start. We now have 23 staff, a warehouse down in Caringbah, and it's really grown ridiculously quickly. We've been essentially just been putting in systems, as you guys can understand, some of you being in startups and small businesses, it's sort of staff coming to you with different processes and systems asking you for a different thing every day that you've got to then go and develop. But in terms of where we're going with our technology and all the different technologies, that's sort of, drones was the best starting space for us because it's bringing multiple different technologies and components together in a systems integration sense. And for Australia to develop a sovereign capability of aerospace, we need to develop a prime systems integrator. Think Lockheed Martin, think Boeing. These prime systems integrators, or think Rocket Lab, again, New Zealand, a bit closer to home. But without a prime systems integrator that's really growing in Australia, developing the labour here and developing what we can draw together on a project level here in terms of complexity and size, then we really have no chance of ever affecting the space race. And in terms of the need for it, global uncertainty on a political landscape. So Australia is obviously positioned in the Asia Pacific. We also hold a ridiculous amount of critical infrastructure for UAS technology that's used by the Five Eyes and most of our allies. So there's actually multiple sites across Australia that house technologies that control and essentially provide redundancies for the communication protocols of UAS. There's 3 or 4 of those sites in Australia.
I always thought I had passion for technology and I could talk underwater, but Sam, well done, man. I believe in you. I think drones are the future, space is the future, as Bitcoin and distributed technologies that come along. It reminds me of my little girl. She's 4 years old. She started code camp this week, designing bots, B-bots. So might not be far away that instead of traveling on a plane, we might be on a drone, right? So to hear more about innovative technologies, next up we have Stratafy. Space Ops. Sorry, I got that wrong. Space Ops. So we'll stick with the space thing. Hopefully, looks like a rocket. Hopefully, we can travel to the space soon.
you. Hello everyone, my name is Patrick. I'm CEO and co-founder of Space Ops Australia. I've got with me in the audience Andrew Sakar, who's also a co-founder of Space Ops. We are a rocket company. We are in Australia, and we're here to build Australia's space launch capability. Now, in the world, everyone here is connected by some satellite system. We are completely dependent on these systems. Whether it's weather forecasting, whether we go to the ATM to get money out, whether we talk on our mobile phones, we are completely dependent on these satellites. However, the last few years has seen a significant increase in activity within the space sector, mainly due to these. This is a CubeSat, and this is what's replacing traditional satellites that would fit in your entire room here. Now, because of their size, their affordability, their ease of manufacturing, there's now a projected market value for this of $62 billion by 2030. And that's a market we hope to support through launch. Because right now, these satellite developers, to get to space, they need to ride share on services like SpaceX, on a Soyuz. They don't get to choose. They can't buy a rocket that large, so they have to wait. They wait for a Boeing or a Lockheed to pay that $60 million to launch, and then maybe they'll get a chance. There's still a 6 to 2 year wait time on these things. So that's where we come in. We're here to develop a launch system just for them. Our vehicle is intended to be fully reusable. What that'll mean is we're opening up new capabilities for these technology developers, these new innovators within the space domain. What they lack is the ability to test their hardware quickly, so that then they can go to investors and get further investment. They can't be waiting years, they need it now. And so with our platform of a fully reusable launch system, we'll be able to get their payload to space when they need it and return their systems for validation verification. So what are we doing right now? We've partnered with a company called NextAero. They're based in Melbourne, and they're developing the next generation of Aerospace engine. This is an engine that is efficient at any altitude. That's a big difference compared to existing engine technology, where you have to stage, where you're designing specifically for one efficiency at one altitude. This is where we are. This is a competition space that is heating up significantly. But what we provide is the ability to get these innovators to space quickly. So you've got SpaceX, you've got your Blue Origin, Rocket Labs, you know those names. But they have significant payload sizes, and they have a significant cost to them as well. We want to be one-on-one with these new innovators instead, and that's how we're different. So right now, we've actually got 2 customers, both Australian. ResearchSat, they do microbiology experiments in that CubeSat form factor. And we've got PicoSat, one of the smallest available educational and Earth observation platforms around. This is the team, 4 co-founders. I met them through uni, I know them as friends. We've been at it for almost 2 years now. So right now, our first mission is to prove out our technology. We want to achieve our first real flight. We've dubbed what is called the return to sender missions to help build our progress to gradually reach space. And we want to do this by the end of next year. This is our 5-kilometer launch vehicle. Liquid oxygen, ethanol, Aerospace engine, carbon fiber nose cone, aluminium honeycomb fins. It's about 6 meters long. Our communication system, we have an internal sensor suite that is providing us information back to the ground, back to our command station, so that we know the status of the vehicle, and also during flight. We need to have high definition video and audio on the ground, and we need to do all of that remotely. And that's where we think Cisco technology can support us. Right now we're going through our early stage funding, which is based on providing early bird pricing for launching payload to space. My name is Patrick, and thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so these are to launch nano satellites. Are they? I know Fleet. Yeah, Flavia is pretty well.
Yeah.
So instead of them clustering on one of the old-fashioned rockets that go up, you'll send them up individually, if you like. This is it. So it's like a giant cracker that you can launch anywhere. What sort of facilities do you need to launch a 6-meter rocket?
Surprisingly, not a lot. So we've partnered with a launch site provider down in South Australia, and they've got a bit of land that'll enable us to test to 5 kilometers. And they've got future sites in development to enable polar orbit launches. And so that's launching off the Great Bight. So in terms of facility-wise, that's all up to our partner called Southern Launch. And they'll provide all the ground support, protection, safety, insurance aspects for us.
So you mentioned, what you're after is sort of some collaboration technology, and you think Cisco could help you with that. So from an IP and sort of development perspective, is there sort of cybersecurity and kind of networking as well? Like what other kind of capabilities will the Cisco technology provide space ops?
So going into longer term now, we need continuous downrange ability to communicate with the vehicle. So we envisage long duration spaceflight missions. So our second stage vehicle will be with the payload in space. We need to maintain its position. We need to know where it is, what it's doing, if it's been affected by some space weather. So we need that ground communication segment to be strong. We need that bit of data always coming through to our offices so that we know where it is, what's happening. And all that is the same when we go to our 50-kilometer launch, to 100-kilometer launch, to our 200-kilometer LEO orbit missions. So we need that strong communications backbone to ensure safety.
And it's really cool, by the way, launching it into space. That's sick.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think everyone thinks so. So like you launch a rocket, right? And you put one of those little boxes up there, right? And then, so how much are they expecting normally to pay to put that rocket up there? Like, what's the economics around this? Because, like, if you want to get into full space, I heard you can go pretty quick, right? You put some serious fuel behind that. And, like, obviously, is there a feasibility study around this in terms of, yeah, will it make money? Because you're doing once-off launches. Like, what's your recurring revenue?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. We've gone through the strategy of full reusability, which means our principal upfront cost is right there. We are not in the business of continuously recreating the same vehicle for each launch, which is currently what's happening. Now, in terms of actually getting one of these, once upon a time, it was maybe $10,000. It was like throwaway space for these larger vehicles. But now, globally, there's thousands of these companies wanting to put hundreds of thousands of these satellites. They're building what's called constellations, right? So now the cost price to get 1 kilogram to LEO is at $100,000 US. So for us, we are developing a vehicle for 30 kilogram capacity. So at that point, it's just basic maths. The only cost that we provide is driving, the salaries to our ground staff and then refueling the vehicle. we're not having to scratch build a $2 million vehicle each time, you know. So imagine you bought a sports car, you drive it 400 kilometers, which is about the overall altitude of the space station, and then when you finish with that car, you just throw it in the ocean. That's what's happening now. That's what we don't want to do anymore. We need to be better at it. If we want to open space, we need to move into fully reusable vehicles.
So 30 kilo payload, you'd take 10 of those up at a time, don't you?
So we can either fulfill the entire payload,
Yeah.
or we have it for one customer. It's whichever comes first. If there is suitable timing, then we can fill more, so we can also ride share.
Yeah.
But we provide dedicated access to space.
And the reason for the demand is the Internet of Everything needs one of these for everything, basically, isn't it? If you want your fridge to talk to your car, you need one of those.
So they're small because of their size, and because most of the companies, such as Fleet, who are based in LA, they want coverage around the world. Their market is everywhere.
Yeah.
You need that coverage everywhere. So therefore, you need your constellation to cover the entire globe. And that'll also provide us with the constant Earth observation missions, communications.
Super creepy stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, is anyone else doing this? Because like China's kind of wicked at manufacturing stuff and stealing stuff. Borrowing ideas and remixing them to be cheaper. Like, have you guys thought through your defensive uniqueness?
So we're not importing any technology fundamentally. So we don't have to go through a lot of critical legal aspects. There are a lot of companies that have popped up in the last few years. They see the same opportunity we do, right? So for us, our competitive advantage is in fact partnering with NextAero, our engine developer. They've got probably one of the only few engines capable of providing that type of performance across any altitude. So that's our difference.
So two related questions, Patrick, to your return to sender. The first one is, I would assume that one of these launch vehicles doesn't have an infinite lifespan. How many times would you bring it back home? And then the second part, is it also one of those fancy orchestrated landings, or how do you actually bring it back?
Yes, so at the moment there is a lifespan to all vehicles. Burning the engine itself, it'll naturally ablate, so material will shut off, it'll reduce its efficiency. So there is a lifespan, we're unsure what that lifespan is. So that's the point of the return to sender missions. It's meant to provide us with that type of information, get some readings. And in terms of how we'll do it in the larger one, it's a glide re-entry vehicle. So similar to a shuttle, just way smaller. So it's incredibly passive in terms of recovery. Thank you.
I don't know about you guys, but I heard drones, rockets, space car. Was that space car at 400 kilometers an hour? Probably need to sell my car now before the value drops. Ladies and gents, we have Stratafy, who an exciting startup that are in the property management industry, and hopefully, if any of you tenants have a leaky pipe, they might have a solution for your strata manager.
So smart cities can't be complete without smart buildings. Smart buildings can't be smart without technology. Technology can't be smart without the end user. What is the point of technology without an action? What is the point of the action if it doesn't improve our lifestyle? And our lifestyle is about the simple experiences that give us more time. My name is Rick and this is Lewis, and we are the founders of Stratafy.
So Stratafy was founded July last year after having actually bad experiences with property managers ourselves, both in our professional environments and also consumer environments or personal environments. So we set out on a mission to do some research and understand this space a bit better, and found multiple problems.
We understood that old technology Everything was on a web browser. There was nothing mobile focused. There was a changing generations, a generation that would swipe for a date, swipe for a car, swipe for food, but then there was nothing for the property space where you can engage with the surroundings. We saw changing needs in multiple systems for property managers. So there was something to manage for the property for work orders, to engage, and another one to onboard the customers, another thing for document management systems, and another thing to nothing had a bit of a synergy. Finally, we saw the evolution of smart cities and smart buildings. It was great. Sensors, IoT devices, all connecting and machines talking to each other. But the problem was it wasn't personalising the experience to the individual.
So as Rick said, there's multiple solutions out in market for a property manager. What's happening? That means higher costs, more time constraints for the individual, and it had to cater for multiple different profiles. So be it a property manager themselves, be it a contractor, somebody coming on site, or the tenant. So who do we service? We service residential market, so apartments, every day you and I live in. So this market represents about just over 1 million apartments in Australia. So these are Australian numbers. And according to the Bureau of Statistics, this has been growing double digits since 1991. We service commercial markets, so where you and I might work, and the retail space, so our shopping environments.
What does all these properties have in common? Occupants, tenants, owners, retailers. At the heart of all these properties is the end user.
And as we said, the previous solutions that are in market didn't take the consumer in mind. So they weren't built from the bottom up. So what have we done? Introducing Stratafy Connect. So it's a software as a service platform that onboards a consumer to new buildings through to engagement and then an end action. It's mobile first application and it lives native on your device. And the idea is to connect the individual through the buildings that they live, work and shop in to their surroundings overall. What we've then done is built an end property manager platform that complements the app itself. And not only has it taken work orders, automation, machine learning, and created a single customer view for the property managers, it's kept the traditional property management functions in there.
With the end user in mind, we thought about the engagement. The engagement needed to be in a designed, fluid, intuitive manner for the end user. So the design of the app allows for no more than 3 swipes or gestures to actually achieve your end result. As part of the process, you can actually access a number of features. Extremely modular, so every property is different, we know that. Some don't have lifts, some don't have, offices don't have a number of meeting rooms, but then this allows you to kind of engage and see all of the components.
So Stratafy's live. This is out in market. We currently play in the tenant engagement, property management and facility management space, but our vision overall is to move beyond that, move into e-contracts and blockchains, e-contracting and getting the tenant onboarded into the actual buildings themselves, and then connecting all that data through to smart cities, sensors and so forth.
This is supported by blockchain technology in the future. Currently we already have AI that actually engages directly with end users and takes into considerations, giving recommendations. We've got automation and machine learning for property managers that automatically proactively realizes a lift is overheating. It then creates the work order, sends off the work order, schedules it all in, and all it requires is an intervention point to approve or reject. And then finally, we want to integrate down into sensors to then make sure that then links back to the end user.
But as Rick said before, that whole process is to personalise the consumer's experience. So what's the market look like? The property software market globally is forecasted to be in 2026, $1.8 billion. We believe we play in a space that represents about 180 million, and we believe we can service the Stratafy Connect about 50 million of that space.
How do we do that, or how are we going to do that? Software licenses, end user auxiliary services, so being able to book a cleaner or book a driver or anything like that, business intelligence reports. So how do we make reports to the end property managers to justify when servicing should be done, making the buildings cleaner and greener, transaction revenue and third-party commissions. A glowing footprint. So since the launch of Stratafy and our first paid client in November 2017, we had a growing number of interests globally, and we just got back from Paris last week, and actually utilising that same problem that exists across all the markets.
So keeping the consumer in mind, we've set out to streamline, make it accessible for the individual, make it easier for the property manager, but ultimately to give back time for the things that matter most. Thank you. Thank you.
How many customers do you have at the moment?
Yeah, so we service 400 buildings. That represents about 7,000 apartments. And we've got retail and commercial currently under trial. So those numbers are fairly small, but they're predominantly in the residential space at the moment.
And what's the growth forecast over the next 12 months?
Yeah, like Rick said, the international market's quite big. One client alone, or one prospect I should say alone, out of Dubai represents about 27,000 apartments for us. And that's in the pipeline and looking positive.
So just going to the technology side of things. So obviously you're growing, it sounds like you're growing crazy, which is super exciting, but also you're pretty young too, right? So what sort of infrastructure, what capability do you have now, and what will the Cisco technology enable you to fulfill?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it comes down to one of the key things that we hold, and we hold a lot of, is data. We hold a lot of data, a lot of personal data, especially around the owners and occupants and tenants. So security is one of our number one priorities and concerns, and we want to make sure that we eliminate and reduce any risk of being, obviously anyone getting into our systems. So that's number one. Number two is we have a lot of clients globally, so actually engaging with them is one of our key importance. So using things like WebEx is really, really valuable to us, not only to meet and with a lot of our clients globally. And the third one is IoT sensors. So being able to integrate with more suppliers, and we've integrated with a number of accounting systems, a number of sensors globally, and further developing those activities allows us to demonstrate smart cities and how we then repeat that back into the end user.
Hey guys, how do you market this? Because strata managers are pretty old school, right? And they don't like losing their business and control. What's the pitch?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Strata managers are old school. We've walked into strata manager offices where there's still boxes of paper on the shelves. The pitch is that we're going to remove all of that paper. The pitch is that the consumer is currently emailing you probably 100 times when that pipe breaks. That is gone. So the consumer lodges an issue on the app. That app then flows through to a work order, is all automated, and then actually connects through to a tradesman. So that tradesman can quote on the spot through the app itself and through the system. That then makes that whole seamless process for the property manager. Right? So it's time and efficiency.
Sorry, I'll just add to that. So one of the automation components is exactly what Lewis said. By automating the process, we're actually saving them costs. We're saving them headcount, which in turn hits their revenue lines. We're giving new revenue options, so they're able to provide services which they normally wouldn't provide, like call-out fees for a plumber or an electrician, and add their margin on that and actually disclose that to the strata companies, because people will pay for those kind of services, as well as we're providing a platform which is a single customer view, which allows you to go, right, Fred's called, put in his number, I can see everything on one screen about him in an instant. We had a lot of part-timers from a couple of our clients who goes, things fall between the cracks. At least this way you know exactly and pick up where that customer is. From a customer standpoint, owners and tenants owners can see what's happening in the building and link directly in the app. They can see the leasing, they can see their strata payments, they can see all their documents. Commercial buildings can see Wi-Fi documentation, safety. So it's a huge opportunity in that sense.
So just coming back to the Cisco helping products and stuff, I sort of like on your runway you got some, some cool stuff happening. What's sort of like the timeline there? Like, because obviously the SaaS business, it's all about CAC and getting your revenue up, and obviously you can imagine headcounts pretty intense because big customers want big features. Like, how are you going to balance that out? Like, what's sort of the horizon there?
That's a great question. So, as Louis was saying, we've got a couple of big clients out in July, and they're actually spearheading a lot of how we operate. So they're helping us build out the timelines of what they require. So from leasing and blockchain capabilities. So we're looking at probably looking at a 24 to 36 months and actually hitting that market actively, but testing by close to early 2019.
So just from a company perspective, what does your staff look like at this point in time? Is it just local? Have you got some offshore capability for development?
Development's local and offshore. It's us two, and then we work through resellers as well. So we've got a couple of resellers here in the country, but our Saudi partners actually want to take it to market themselves.
And then a related question to the technical capability. Current environment, is it on-prem as in a private cloud, or are you using public cloud for?
No, it's on the private cloud.
I was just going to ask, are you, obviously you're connecting with, tradies and there's all other services. Are you partnering with any other startups, or like, how do you source them, I guess?
Not currently. Okay.
So at the moment, a lot of our strata managers and property managers have preferred suppliers. We've got relationships with them, and directly that's the go-to first response. The idea is we will integrate with people like your high pages in the long term, to then go, right, once the immediate customers can't, or the immediate suppliers who are your preferred suppliers can't fulfill, and then automatically goes out to a third party and provides a seamless in-game.
Okay, so that's your revenue model as well, as revenue from strata managers. Then if you hook tradies, they become part of your portfolio as well. Go to, you click the ticket there. I saw around me on that, so you can
Advertise to retailers.
Right, okay, and click the ticket on the way through. So you have multiple revenue sources.
Correct. So one of our clients that we're testing at the moment is in the retail space. Yeah. They directly connect the retailer down to the centre management. But what it allows you to do is book advertising space through the app, and then we take a clipping of the ticket.
So the biggest issue up until now has been servicing the end consumer. So that's been our hook. The hook has been, let's get the consumer using the app, let's get people on the app itself, make sure that we're serving a problem or servicing a problem for the property manager, and then the ancillary services such as clipping the ticket, as you say, come later. And yeah, thank you.
It was an extremely simple yet effective solution. What I loved about it was the end customer, end user view, all the way up to what's in it for the property manager, what's in it for the resellers. That app has got money bags written all over it, right? So many multiple use cases. Well done, folks. Next up, we have smart paddocks. Now these folks are working really hard to help our hardworking farmers to keep an eye on their cattle 24/7.
Absolutely. Hello everyone. So my name's Darren, I'm the CEO and founder of Smart Paddock. And our mission is to increase cattle farming productivity 30 to 40% while still improving the health and well-being of the herd. So what's the problem? So we know we need to double food production over the next 30 years, but in that same time frame, the demand for meat and dairy is going to triple. And that's really being driven by the ever-increasing size of the world's middle class. And interesting, by 2030, 60% of the world's middle class is actually going to live within a 10-hour cargo flight of Australia. not so well known is that since 1980, there's actually a third less fertile land in the world, and that Australian cattle farmers deal with a chronic and persistent labor shortage. So really, Australian farmers have to produce way more, less land, and less help. So what do? We gather biometric data straight from the animals in the paddock that track animal behavior, health, and location. And with this information, we're targeting 3 key areas of opportunity. Cutting the high mortality rate in the cattle industry in Australia, improving herd quality, and increasing pasture feed quantity. So to do that, we have developed what we call the Bluebell tag. This is my fake cow ear. I have a whole cow head that goes with it. So the tag goes on the ear of every animal in the herd. It streams biometric data long range or to a central gateway on the farm. From that, we put it up to the cloud, analyze it, and present it back down to the farmer in the form of a web app and a mobile application. So the mobile application, for example, could give alerts to the farmer, notifying them that there's early signs of illness or injury with their animals. Or it could just give alerts that the animals get out of their paddocks. But also could be used when they're mustering their animals and just know where they all are, and knowing that they've got all of them. The dashboard is used more for more advanced technology analysis, like looking at pasture usage over time, and also looking at breeding traits of the animal. So our business model is to sell the tags outright to the farmer and the network infrastructure. So an average farm, or a smaller farm, of 400 head of cattle, it's about $12,000 to install the system, about 5,000 years to use the system. So that can give them a minimum return on investment of about $32,000 per year. So with this, we do have to install some network infrastructure on the farm. We cannot put a SIM in every cow's head, on every cow. So that's the advantage of using some of the technology that Cisco provides, lower WAN. And the idea with that is that you can actually, because it's a standard across a lot of industries, we're looking at partnering with other small providers. Like a good partner of ours is Aerospace, where they provide electric fence monitoring. So their product, our product, all use the same network infrastructure that has to be installed on the farm. Now, other interesting is when you have multiple farms, they can all share the network infrastructure. So if you have 3 farms, you have one network system here, one network here. A cow gets from one farm to the other farm, it still can be picked up on the same infrastructure, and you can know where your animals are. This is our team, that's me. I'm an engineer, but I'm actually raised from cattle farm in northern Alberta, Canada. I have a lot of extensive guys in the tech. I got Scott, he's my engineer on the ground. He actually lives on a cattle farm here in New South Wales. I got advisors, and key, I have Helen. She's a veterinarian, and she's worked in the industry for many years, and she's helping with the health and behavior aspect of our system. So we've had tons of interest in what we're doing. We've had industry organizations, government organizations, universities looking for tags for research, but more importantly, farmers are actually looking for it. So I just came back a couple months ago from Rockhampton for Beef Week, which is the largest beef expo in the Southern Hemisphere. Talked to over 140 farmers, and I actually have over 100 farmers signed up looking for trials of this product. And that represents over 500,000 head of cattle. So our ask today for Cisco is that we're deploying 5 to 10 commercial farm trials before the end of the year. And we want to concentrate on the tags and the data that we're getting from. And we're looking for support from Cisco on the network deployment. So we need technology that can be rugged, designed for outdoor use, have multiple options to get the data back up to the cloud, and that can handle thousands of devices. So we really need high-end equipment. That's my presentation. Again, yeah, open for questions.
Wow, that's fantastic. I presume you can scale up for a sheep.
Yeah, so I have talked to a lot of sheep people, sheep farmers. They run the same issues that cattle farmers do. So I still focus, stick with cattle first. There are 27 million cattle just in Australia, let alone the rest of the world. But yeah, it's the same
So you went to Beef Week, and as Fred was saying, farmers are pretty conservative as well, like strata managers.
Yeah.
You signed up 100 trials at a Beef Week.
So it's just myself there on a booth. I go through my product, show them the tag, talk about how much it charges, and yeah, actually, it was amazing. I had talked to about 140 people, had about 250 people to my booth. Got 100 contact information going. If you're interested in trials, sign up, I'll contact you first.
So what's the trial process? Do they actually pay for it?
There will be paid trials, yeah. Yeah, normally it won't be like 10,000 cattle at once. You'll get 100, do a mob, see how it goes. There's definitely I was absolutely blown away at the interest I got. I wasn't expecting that.
I believe in your product. It's good. So, and when you get the LO, whatever it is, and you've got these other partners, I know what it does. It's all low frequency stuff. So, can you share one yourself? Like, can the fence guys, one also capable of doing the cattle?
Yeah, I'm sure that Cisco people can talk all about that, but it's definitely a shared network.
Right.
So interested in is that like a prototype, or is that kind of like ready to go, or you're doing trials?
This is one of my early prototypes.
Yeah.
My next version, we're working on multiple versions all the time.
Yeah.
The next version, I'm trying to make it a little bit smaller, but the really key is it's got to be a long life. It can't last for 6 months because that's just not practical for the cattle industry. It's got to last a couple of years minimum. So that's the primary size in terms of the battery.
Okay, because this seems quite large, and I'm just wondering, would they rip off, or what's the thinking about reuse as well?
Yes. So yeah, that's probably one of my second question, other than money, and what's it cost the farmers? Is it going to stay in the cows here? So our trials, we've been running trials for about 6 months, and we've actually had pretty high retention rates, but it's a small trial, so it's not statistically valid. But yes, the good thing is if it falls off, because we know the location, we can tell you where it is. And
all the cows dead.
On the reusable, they are completely reusable. So we were looking at a replaceable battery system. And design is allowed the tag to come off and put on. So if you got it on some animals, you don't want the thing leaving the farm with the animal and being destroyed. Nobody wants that. So the idea is you can pull it off quite easily before the animal leaves the farm.
Probably the most important question is, have you started with human trials yet?
No.
We need to keep track of the kids. Now, getting back to what you presented was, are you doing any pre-processing with the data that you collect? Because you would expect if there's a pretty big herd out there, you don't necessarily want to haul all of it back from the outback into a cloud-based environment.
So we're looking at 2 different areas. One on the tag itself. So we're doing body position, so accelerometer, gyroscopes, etc. So we cannot transmit that data to be analyzed off the animal. So it has to be done in the tag itself. And then we're also looking at putting some smarts in the gateways, or putting another device with the gateway as well to do some pre-processing as well. Actually, there's a big issue with 3G coverage over on these properties. So we're actually developing the gateways to be offline capable, so that actually they can take them in their helicopters, which would give really excellent range, and get some information from there as well. But it will still be all cloud-based support.
That's cool, man. Like, I like tracking things, sort of, not really, but anyway. But like, how much money, like you said 32 grand, right? For saving money. Like, is that real? Like, cause, like, what's the loss rate of a cattle? Like aren't they just like animals? And so like, I don't know, like what's the mathematics around this? What's the commercial viability? Because your system's gonna cost money every month, right?
Absolutely.
And knowing where your animals are, like, isn't that their job?
Well, when you get looked at the bigger farms, they do not track their animals. It's like a dairy industry, and they know all their animals, see them all the time. But the beef industry, they actually don't have very good tracking of the animals now. The thing is, the key savings is in the mortality rate. So cattle run about a 6 to 7% mortality rate across Australia, which is pretty bad. And we'll be looking at really trying to cut that in half. And an animal can be worth $1,500 or more, depends if it's a breeding cow. Breeding cows worth quite a bit more because it produces a lot of calves. So that's the core, but we actually think there's a lot more value later on once we get the data going and look at behavior issues. You know, if the animal's standing in water, it's normally indicating it's running a fever. There's all sorts of other things that we can look at, but we need to capture the data first. So when I do my sales job, I'm selling it really on the mortality rate, which the farmers can understand that. So yeah, okay, I can see that, and just knowing where they are. So a lot of time, all sorts of labor savings. We've had a lot of guys come to me and go, oh, we have 500 cattle here, but we actually have 300 cattle like 10K away. And we have to travel up there on a regular basis just to make sure they're still alive. If we could just fire up a computer going, you know what, they're all still there, they're all still fine. I won't go this week, I'll skip for another week. So again, there's other things that we would look in the future. And then using the data later on for, so maybe we'd be sharing it with, other people in the food chain, right? The Coles might want to know that information. So there's a lot more we got to look at. Stay focused in this.
I think the business has got a lot of potential. I think it's good, like rock and roll. So just one question is, how important is security to your data?
Well, the good thing about the technology is that security is built in. So from the animals to the gateways, the security is all done. And if the gateway's up, you just use whatever standard security again. So that's not really an issue. The only thing, you can't control the animals. So you don't have to worry about people doing anything to your animals, because it's just data coming off the animals. But farmers would be very concerned about getting that data getting out, because if there's some illnesses or issues with that, they don't want anybody else to know. That's their private business. So that is pretty key that we make sure that data does not go where it shouldn't be.
I was just going to ask, so like, is cattle stealing a thing? And like, can you rip some ear bits off and then you get some cattle? Or like will this help somehow in rustling?
Yeah, rustling actually is a thing, and it's actually on the upturn because of the value of the animals. Cattle industry has been really going up in value, so again, anything with value, stealing is an issue. You can notify the farmer when the animal leaves the property. The thing is, cattle rustlers aren't that smart, and they'll just load them late at night onto a truck and try to get them out of there. They're not looking at what's on their ears, and they deal with that later on, but ideally we can try to capture the data as they leave and notifying the farmer.
Just in terms of other innovators and developers for this type of technology, is it sort of something quite unique in Australia? Is Australia leading? What do you think about the US and the Canadian market as well?
Actually, Europe, Israel, they're pretty much, they lead a lot of this stuff. US has some. So there's a few startups tackling this issue. It's been really difficult because we're doing GPS tracking. You have to use a lot of battery, and it's really the battery technology just getting there now that you can actually do this technology and the new technology with the lower WAN. And that's relatively new technology that wasn't there a few years ago. So Australia's doing it, US is doing it, European companies are doing it. No one's really nailed it yet. Well, I'm going to nail it.
Thank you.
What a cool piece of technology. I still remember 15 years ago, I was in university in Brisbane and working for an angel investor, similar to David. And there was this company, I was reading business plans, and all I had to do was I was KPI'd on how many business plans I threw in the bin. One of them, still remember, was a company, I won't name them, they're big now, that had a similar technology but not fully integrated, that ear tags. And imagine Southeast Queensland, 70,000, 80,000 hectares per farming family. To manage cattle was almost impossible. But they had that technology back then. But what Smart Paddocks presents is several other use cases. Stories around paddock to plate. The productivity gain for not just the farmers, but the entire ecosystem is huge, it's massive. And I think, this is my personal view, that after transportation, farming or agriculture is the industry that will get disrupted by technology. Ladies and gents, I would like you all to give a big round of applause to our finalists. What a fantastic bunch of innovators we have. They are absolutely putting Australia on the innovation map, and this further highlights why a digital economy is the way forward for us. So why don't we take a 15-minute break whilst the judges regroup, and figure out who the winner is, and the drinks and food is free flowing, folks. See you in 15.